Well, it's November 15th, 2022. I'm Andy Johnson. This is WESN. Hello, everybody. Welcome to it. We're going to begin in a moment with the program AM Prime for this edition. Let's tell you what's happening. Among the people we're talking with this morning, Avenel Hector Joseph. She's the founder of an organization called Is There Another Cause? And the issue this time is the cause is Christmas. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. That's a program she will present to the country, asking for people's support, voluntary and otherwise. We'll get to that on one side of the program. We're also talking with Ms. Janelle John Bates. She's a candidate for the position of Assistant Secretary General or Assistant General Secretary in the People's National Movement. Internal elections to come. Well, we saw in the news that the person going up to challenge for the position of political leader has filed action calling for postponement of these elections. Other things are happening around that. We're also talking with Mr. Francis Bertrand. He's a member of the General Council. He's a former mayor of Point Fortin. He wants to raise some concerns that are consistent with some of the things that Ms. Nunes-Teixeira and others are talking about the conduct of the election, some of the rules of the game that are under question. Of course, we take you around the region. We go further afield. We'll tell you what to watch for in the watch this and other things as we go along on this edition of the program. So we will take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Just stay with us.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Whether it's a room for 1, 2, 3 or more, there's a room waiting with the ocean view almost to your door. Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, the perfect getaway when you don't want to travel far. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Crown Point, Tobago. Call 639-8571 for your reservation.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the Content Capital.
Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
At Belgroves, celebrating life is our commitment with integrity, compassion, and dignity for your loved ones. Belgroves Funeral Home and Crematorium, serving Trinidad and Tobago for over a century.
Living in victory every day.
Inspire, motivate, encourage, hope. It's about topical issues. It's about everything that you would want to know about hope, about life. At the end, you're going to say, yes, if he can do it, I can do it too. If she can, I can do it too.
No matter what they say. Living in victory every day.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
Dear Santa, this year has been rough. Prices going up and with dust going down. So Santa, this year for iShare, we ain't asking for no toys and no gifts. We just asking for food and non-perishable items to help all the people who can't buy them.
Ho ho! That's very nice.
Hey, Santa, you here? You bring the stuff?
Well, no. I just outside.
Santa, me and you go get where?
Well, I know reach.
Santa, watch me. Let's go and get a thing for me, please.
Who child is this?
iShare, the Devon Matthews Charity Drive is back. And we're asking for your donation of non-perishable food items to help those in need. Contributions can be made at Dev's Barbershop, Scrapes Car Wash, the Boca's Restaurant and Bar, or for more information, contact 724-8616 or 785-8238. iShare, brought to you by the No Youth Left Behind organization, the Lit Foundation, and the friends and family of Devon Matthews.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. only on WESN, Content Capital.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered,
the conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. only on WESN, Content Capital.
Welcome back to the program. Moments from now, we are trying to hook up with Mr. Francis Bertrand. Of course, he was a mayor in the borough of Point Fortin. He has been a long time serving member of the ruling People's National Movement. He's been on the General Council. He has been following the developments leading up to these elections in the party from one perspective or another, and he says he has some views to express. He's concerned, as other people are, with the conduct of the elections. He's probably supporting what we see now as if legal action being filed by Karen Nunes Teixeira. She's contesting for the position of political leader in the party, one of 3 or 4 of them challenging the ruler, the political leader of the party, who's the country's prime minister. I think Mr. Bertrand is there. Among the things he's talking about, the arrangements that are not as clear as people want them to be, and also the fact that too many cabinet ministers are vying for positions on the executive, on the leadership of the party, and the issue of slates versus slates, and the fear factor that some people have about voting against a particular slate, whether that is led by the political leader or not. Mr. Bertrand, well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so let's start where you want to start. You say you have some concerns consistent with the concerns that other people have been raising about the conduct of the election, the rules of the game, and then this question about who goes up for what.
All right, Andy, before I jump in there, I just want to take a minute to express condolences to Marva Bostic, one of our long-standing activists, deceased daughter, Keisha Bostic. I think she's being buried today at 11 o'clock in San Fernando, St. Paul's Anglican Church. So I want to express condolences on behalf of myself, my family, the party group, and the community.
So she was one of your Burgesses, Ms. Bostic, the mother?
No, her daughter. She's not one of our Burgesses, but she teaches at, she was a teacher at Point Fortin College.
Okay, the daughter, the one who was killed?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. But condolences to her and to her mother as well. I mean, these tragic things continue to happen in our midst.
All right. In terms of the internal election, I was an advocate in the party that was pushing for us to have these internal elections. And I'm happy to see that it's happening. And my duty as a senior party member is to try and ensure that we can get the widest possible participation from members. One of the concerns I have at this point is the question of persons expressing concerns of being able to come out and hear what the various slates are offering. You know, some persons still have this factor, they're fearful based on their job, whether they're working in URP or what have you. And I think that at this stage, the leadership and those who contesting, we should encourage all party members to listen to all views so that they can make a decision when the time comes. Another thing I would like to suggest is that while our member of parliament and our councillors, etc., may support whichever team they would like to, I think whenever these persons who are contesting elections are holding meetings in their electoral district, it is the responsibility of the MP and the councillor to be there and at least acknowledge and welcome the person because they're being part of the PNM process. Notwithstanding who they may support, if one team comes in, the representative should be there to welcome them to the constituency. And that would give the supporters a sense of ease that they can go and listen and make a proper determination.
Yeah. To what extent these things get discussed at General Council meetings?
Could you repeat that, Andy?
To what extent these things get discussed at General Council meetings? This question over the conduct of the elections in this party is the oldest living political organization in the country. And you would think, is it correct to think that the conduct of elections in there would be better organized, would be more sort of widely accepted and understood? You have a situation now where we had in the news that Ms. Nunes Teixeira, who's contesting for the position of political leader, has filed action for to seek the postponement of the elections because there are deep dissatisfactions about what has been transpiring.
All right, and even specifically in terms of the action filed by Ms. Teixeira, I wouldn't comment directly on that because that may be sub judice at this point. But in terms of the General Council, one of my pet peeves has always been that the level of discussion and engagement at the General Council is not what it's supposed to be. The General Council is supposed to be a forum where constituencies bring ideas, criticism, and offer suggestions to assist the government in determining policy. And my experience has been that has not been happening enough. At General Council, what has been happening is the government, the cabinet, make pronouncements on whatever decision they would have taken. And the input of General Council members in particular, I think that is sadly lacking. Let me give one example.
Go ahead.
I mean, right now the country is crippled with crime. And that is one of the major challenges of the government at this time. And you would think at the level of General Council with 3 representatives for 41 constituencies, the issue of crime should be something that we would have had discussions on and come up with suggestions that could aid the government. In fact, all the areas that are crime-ridden, they have representatives at the General Council. So here you have an opportunity to have some ground information coming to aid and guide the party, the government. But that has not happened. In fact, in the past, one had been advocating at the General Council to have a retreat to discuss crime, to discuss the whole issue of Venezuelan influx and what have you. And those things are just really pushed aside. So the General Council is not being allowed to play the role that it should be and the role that it was designed for by our founding father, Dr. Eric Williams.
So how do you suggest these things get addressed effectively within the,
Well, I think it can be addressed effectively through leadership and maybe in terms of the internal election, the personnel involved in managing the affairs of the party, the internal election may offer an opportunity to change. Because the party's executives themselves, in my humble view, has not been effective politically within the past couple of years. And while they're still being presented, I am concerned that persons are being asked to vote for slaves and not examined individually those persons who are offering themselves. A classic case and a pet peeve is that within the last 3 years or so, the party has been losing ground. We've been losing in terms of elections, the by-elections, we've lost ground. And even point was when we had a near miss. But to me, that issue has never been properly ventilated at the level of General Council. And the election officer of the party, who was responsible for that, was responsible for Andy Grandy, Arima, and all those areas that we continue to lose ground, and even to be able to some extent, that person is being offered without accounting for their stewardship in terms of saying, listen, what has happened and what is going to happen differently as we move forward. That to me is not acceptable.
I want to ask you, what risks do you think you are assuming by making these positions, stating these points here now in the public?
Well, these points, I don't want to get into too much of our internal discussion, but I have been making these points during the forums of the party at the General Council, because I am very serious about party business and the party's constitution and issues similar. I have been expounding these, sometimes to the discomfort of some, but I am known to speak truth to power and express views that would redound to the benefit of the party. Because several concerns which I would have raised in the past, I've seen now how things are panning out, and I think people should take note.
Yeah, when you say that, you mean that things that you put on the table have not been addressed, and the repercussions and the results of them are playing out now.
Yeah, some of them. Right now we have party members came forward, offering themselves. Some choose to have slaves, some choose to be there individually. But I'm seeing a situation where a particular group is out there very heavy, in terms of campaigning. But the campaigning style of some of these teams are typical to deliver political lectures. There's a lot of interaction of the members. You go into our constituency, you walk with your busload of people, and you're talking to the same people all the time. And persons from that constituency who may have concerns or who may want to challenge some of the persons who are being offered, that interaction is not taken place.
So these encounters are more like lectures rather than conversations.
Yeah, lectures and general election type campaigning, and I'm a bit concerned that some groups seem to have a lot more resources than others, and in so doing, that could skew the whole situation, because there are some guidelines in terms of the code of conduct for elections, and I'm just concerned that those with the resources would just use the resources to get the benefit of the results, as opposed to us getting the best persons at this time to serve.
But and you have concerns and questions about the whole business about people with more resources. When we say who have more corn feed more fowl, and the question is, and the question is, where is that corn coming from, and why do some people seem to have an advantage over others? If it's one party, and we're talking about election within one party, how is it that some people could start off with an advantage as opposed to others?
Yeah, because that is a matter I would probably raise internally as we move forward, because the code of conduct did indicate that persons should be not spend excessively, but there's no quantum, they didn't quantify that. So those are some of the areas that we would have to address. Probably internal campaign financing reform, if you want to call it. But that is something that the party needs to look at.
But why would there be such a situation in which people have to expend to put money into contesting positions internally in party elections?
Well, that's the point. And look what happened. Unfortunately, Dr. Rowley got ill, and I'm pleased to see that he's back. So I wish him all the best. So Dr. Rowley was away from the campaign for a while, and it presented an opportunity for those on that team. I'm not too sure, because he did acknowledge that he wasn't part of a slave, but for those on that team to rise to the occasion and give other persons exposure, persons competing for offices, so we can hear from them. But that has not happened. What has happened is other MPs and ministers have been recruited so that we go into meetings with 4 ministers and an MP speaking, and the 10 or 12 persons who are applying for whether it's field officer, election officer, whatever officer, they just sit in there in the audience. And people are asked to vote for that based on those high-level presentations without testing the methods of persons who want to present themselves as officers.
Yeah.
And that is a concern that.
Yeah,
that
and you disagree with others, or you on the side of those who disagree with this idea of so many members of cabinet vying for positions on the party executive.
Yes, I'm supportive of that because based on experience, it has not worked. That it has not worked where we have cabinet ministers. The government is under the gun right now. Their portfolios are heavy, and they have to give full attention to that. And they offer themselves, and they don't have the time to come to, let's say, point 14 when you have an issue on a Monday night, or Toko or Sandy Grandi, to deal with these party matters. The party needs to be nurtured separately at this time. The government has their work to do. So it has to be a dual approach. Of course, it's not absolute. There may be 1 or 2 persons who can, but to load up your party executives with ministers, especially at a time when your government is not doing so well, that to me doesn't make good strategic sense.
Well, let's see what happens after these elections, and then the next General Council meeting might be something people will want to be privy to. But it's sorry that we couldn't go on some more, but we have to talk again. But our next guest will continue, we presume, on that line, or probably take a different line of approach to it. Ms. Janelle John Bates, she's a candidate for the position of Assistant General Secretary. And as we speak, the news this morning was that one of those contesting...
Okay, I mean, in closing, let me just encourage all the candidates to stay firm. In fact, we had a meeting in Point Fortin where we invited all candidates, and whatever slate you were on, most of them were there. They interacted, presented themselves, friendly rivalry, and I think that was one of the better meetings we had. And I think it may not be possible, but we need to get something in the format of a debate coming down. Persons who vying for offices to stand side by side and defend their position in whatever forum that the members can make a good choice. And I would close by saying, again, encouragement to all participants. Let's level the playing field. Let's keep it clean, avoid the name calling and what have you. Focus on the party's business. And I would say the party would then continue to be great. And I would say great is the PNM and it shall prevail. That is coming from me, 55 years of service. I'm no potong in this business. I am a concerned party member. And I hope that we can have a very active and fruitful, fair internal election. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Francis Bertrand, former mayor of Point Fortin. He described himself as a senior party member in this question. We will take a break, and when we come back, we're talking with Janelle John Bates, another candidate for these elections. She's going up in the position of Assistant General Secretary. Well, that's the position she seeks to get into. Stay with us. This is AM Prime.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU.
interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
Here's your chance to win a brand new Mazda CX-30, courtesy Movietown. Simply spend $200 or more at dbesttoys.com, Movietown, Port of Spain. Promotion ends November 12th.
Visit the store, you better shop online. You better call us now, I'm telling you why. dbesttoys.com is the Movietown, Port of Spain.
At Belgroves, celebrating life is our commitment with integrity, compassion, and dignity for your loved ones. Belgroves Funeral Home and Crematorium, serving Trinidad and Tobago for over a century.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
Whether it's your family meet and eat or your own personal getaway retreat, a business trip accommodation or a couple's celebration, the Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa has room for you. There's always sumptuous, delicious cuisine and the gym and tennis court for a good workout routine. Then relax by the pool or on the private beach or just head to the spa. It's also within reach. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Tobago's best beach resort. For reservations, call 639-8571 or check our website.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Living in victory every day.
Inspire, motivate, encourage, hope. It's about topical issues. It's about everything that you would want to know about hope, about life. At the end, you're going to say, yes, if he can do it, I can do it too. If she can, I can do it too.
No matter what they say, living in victory every day.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
Welcome back to the program. With us now in studio, our guest, Ms. Janelle John Bates, and we're continuing the discussion about the upcoming elections inside the ruling People's National Movement. She's contesting the position of Assistant General Secretary in the party. Good to see you, ma'am.
Good morning. Good to see you. Good to be on the show. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. In the time we have, let's just talk a little quickly about where you situated in the party. What's your constituency? What's your party group? Them kind of things.
I am from the Caroni Central constituency. I'm in a party group in that constituency.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you are a member of a team that is contesting this election as a team?
Yes, I'm a member of the People's Champions. We're a group of 7 individuals who have come together under that umbrella to contest the seats. We have Farai Hoof Masaisai, who's running for chairman, Rondell Donowa, who has put himself up for vice chairman, myself, assistant general secretary, Sally Ann Holdip Francis, who's running for treasurer. We have Kino Romeo, who's running for elections officer, Christian Fleming, running for labor relations officer, and we have Alicia Hospitalis, who has offered herself for the position of welfare officer.
All right, Alicia Hospitalis, she's a former member of parliament.
Yes, she is.
And so on and so on.
Yes, she is.
In terms of parliamentary experience, she might be more experienced than the rest of you?
She is the only one, I believe, with parliamentary experience, but we have other people on the team who have had experience serving the PNM as councillors. Rondell, Farai, and Kino have been councillors.
Right. Talk a little bit about this group of you all. In a lot of cases, you all are young people
yes,
trying to make a difference in what is the most, I would say, the most resilient political party in the country, one of the most resilient in the Caribbean. But yet there are these issues about the internal operations of the party. Well,
you said tell us a bit about us young people. Yes, half of us are under 40. I'm under 40. The others are under 50. So yes, we are a group of young individuals. We are based on two pillars. One, strengthening the party by returning to the fundamentals, which can be found in Article 2 of the Constitution, and empowering and enriching people, the members, because it is the people's national movement. So that is what we are about. So,
yeah. So with the first point you made about strengthening the
yes, by focusing on the objectives of the PNM.
Okay, and what is, in your estimation, and when I use the term your, I mean collectively, so your group's estimation about that, the situation regarding the fundamentals of this party, going back to the perspectives for the people back in 1970, 71, when the great leader Dr. Williams had proposed that.
Right.
Those things.
Well, it was more like in the 1956, around the founding of the party. Well, our estimation of that is that the party is good. There has been focus on that over the years. But for us, we want to make it better. We believe there's a continuum, good, better, best. We want to carry the party to the best it can be. And the founding principles are that the PNM is based on basic human rights, democracy, and promoting the progression of members both materially and morally. And we want that to be the main focus of the party.
Is it happening or is it not happening? You want to make it happen?
We are saying it's happening, but we want to make it the soul, along with focusing on the voice of the people, the sole consideration of the party, especially at this time.
Yeah, you may not have been privy to the discussions that we had before we went to the break. I was talking with Mr. Francis Bertrand, former mayor of Point Fortin. He describes himself as a very experienced member of the party. He is questioning some of the ways in which the elections are taking place. He's talking about the fact that some people won't vote or may not vote because they want to vote for an individual, not necessarily a slate, but that there is a dynamic in the party in these elections that people should concentrate on voting for slates. And if you want to vote for somebody from another slate, you can't even express it because you fear reprisals or repercussions of one kind or another. The question is, why should that be happening internally in a party that is as established as this is, as dominant as this is? If you take the history of democracy in Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM has been in charge far more than anybody else. But democracy inside the party, it seems to be an issue in 2022.
Well, I wouldn't say democracy inside the party is an issue. Look at the mere fact. Look how many people have put themselves up to run. Yes, we have a slate of 16 who appear to be made up of mostly incumbents and ministers and so forth, but there are many independents, and then there's my slate, a slate of 7 young individuals who have put ourselves up bravely and boldly. So I wouldn't say there's a problem with democracy, and I would want to say to people who may have some trepidation or fear about voting and expressing who they're voting for. You know, a wise man once said that without democracy, the result would be tyranny and autocracy, which is the anathema to life for anybody. You know, is that wise man? You would have said that. I read that from you. And I believe that we should all understand that when you go in the box, no one is there with you. Vote on your conscience. I would advise or encourage people to listen, even if you may fear going out a campaign meeting, make it your business to listen to all the candidates and make an educated decision without fear or favor and with your God in the box with you.
Yeah, but there's this question that and some people wanted to go up for certain positions, but they were called and told don't go up for that because that is not we want the boss candidate to be that position, to take that position and them kind of things. To what extent that is true?
I am not privy to any of those conversations. I know what happened with me. Farai called me and said, Janelle, I know you have been interested. You have been working with the state. Now you're in private practice. Do you want this opportunity to offer yourself to serve the great party? And I said, yes, I will serve. I cannot speak to what would have happened to any other individual.
No, but so that is not something that is there, that people have a difficulty making their own choices because the pressures on them to not contest against this or that.
I can't speak to other. I can only speak to me and my slate. Yeah. We got the call. We spoke to God, most of us, and we stepped forward bravely, and that's all I can really speak to in terms of that.
We're speaking in a morning in which there appears to be, I just saw the headlines there on our news program when we started, that one of the persons contesting the position for political leader has filed action regarding the conduct of the game thus far and wanting a postponement of the election. How do you think that is playing, and to what extent that there may be any justification for that?
Well, I don't want to get into justification because, it's with the court, but I would say that the ethos of the People's Champions is that we're all one PNM, we all have a voice, we want to encourage members to express their voice. Ms. Nunes Teixeira has taken the opportunity to express herself in that way and in a way that is allowed by the law. She has proceeded down that route, as is her prerogative as a citizen, to bring any claim that's not vexatious and frivolous. And we support anyone who would want to express themselves that way.
Yeah, well, you don't think it sort of casts a kind of shadow over this party, that someone who, she was a member of the cabinet, and she's now contesting for this position, and she's not in agreement with the conduct of the game thus far, such that she would file action to, say, postpone the election?
No, I don't think someone disagreeing with something casts a shadow on the party. As we said, this is a democracy. You will have a right to your opinion, and if that's what she believes, I don't think that should cast any negative light on the PNM. It shows that people in the PNM are brave to do what they think is right in their mind. So I don't see it as negative at all.
Okay, and talk a little bit about your own candidacy for this position of Assistant General Secretary. What do you understand that role and function is?
Well, the Assistant General Secretary is there to, as we say, assist or aid the General Secretary. The General Secretary's function is to be the Secretary of the party in terms of the Executive Council, the Central Council, and the conference. So they would take the minutes of the conference, make sure that all the decisions are implemented, and make sure the records of the party are in order. And my role is to assist them because the PNM is 1,000 strong. So all those decisions, those minutes, those records, they would need assistance in ensuring that they're properly collated and accessible.
Yeah.
So I see that as my role.
Right. Is there a sense among you all that the party is estranged from the general membership? Because that's another thing people are saying, and to some extent you are trying to fix that. Your team is trying to fix that.
I don't want to use the word estranged. Again, I would say what the PNM is doing is good. But we do believe that there is room for improvement in terms of allowing the voices of members, especially grassroots members, to be heard. So that's what we are here about, empowering and enriching members and giving them that space to do so.
How is that going to be realized? Giving people, why is it that people don't have the space to do what they want to do, to say what they want to say, and so on?
Well, one of the ways we intend for that to happen is we are envisioning something called the People's Council. As we said, there's the General Council where business of the party would be conducted, and as I understand it, because I've never sat in the General Councils, near the end we would have a segment that allows the concerns of constituencies to be aired. Sometimes after everything has been conducted, we may not have enough time for that. So what we want is to bring the leadership to the people. We want to come into your constituencies and hear you, and our main focus in the People's Council will just be the people's business, just hearing what concerns you as a PNM member in your particular constituency.
Is there a feeling among you all that there are too many members of the cabinet who are and who want to continue to hold senior positions in the party? That seems to be another part of a narrative that is coming from several quarters, and that should be dealt with.
I know people have that concern, and again, it's a valid concern, but again, for our group, Democracy is like one of the key words here. That is for you as a member of parliament to watch your schedule and decide, do I really genuinely have time to dedicate myself to the party's executive in this way? If I have my ministerial portfolio, my MP position, etc., etc. I think that's what someone should ask themselves. I would not want to say to someone, well, really, you don't have time, I don't know what they would do and what they would shift to make themselves available. So I said they can offer themselves up, and it's for the people to ask those probing questions and figure out if the answer they receive is a palatable one.
Yeah, but it appears that the lived reality is that people who are in those positions don't have the time to spend to deal with party matters because they in members of the cabinet and run in the country, and so it is out of the experience that some people may have witnessed over a period of time who frown on that.
Well, as I said, we have offered ourselves as an option. If that is a concern of the party members, then they should look at who else is up there, and we are there. None of us have that sort of heavy ministerial position. We are all working. 4 of us are attorneys at law, so yes, we have other things that may attract our time, but we certainly don't have that ministerial portfolio. So, as I said, people have a choice, and they should exercise that choice.
Yeah, you feel comfortable enough that people are going to, because I don't know a time when elections in the PNM have been as contentious as this one appears to be. And we don't know what will happen on the other side, but you think the environment is there, it exists for people to decide to vote with their heart and their conscience rather than to be persuaded by the more powerful forces within the organization?
It's one man, one vote. And I think opportunities like these where other candidates have an opportunity to speak their truth and present themselves with people, I think more and more people are persuaded. They may have, I don't know, maybe some niggling feelings, but I think once they meet us and hear us and they understand that you are alone in the box, that is the key there. You are alone in the box. Go there, exercise your one man, one vote, and I don't see why there should be anything to fear.
Is it true to say that so your team are members of this organization called the Heliconia Foundation, and between the General Secretary and Mr. Masai, that's sort of the cell, if you want to call it that, in the party that is seeking to become the dominant group in this party in 5-10 years?
Sorry, are you asking if the Heliconia seeks to become the dominant group in the party? I wouldn't say that. As I said, well, some of our members have affiliations or have been part of the Heliconia, members of the Magnificent Seven, as we call ourselves. Some are not. So this is not about pushing a Heliconia agenda. This is about presenting 7 individuals who we believe are capable to strengthen the party to take us to the next 66 years. Again, democracy, this is not about taking over anything. We want to offer some new, fresh perspectives at a critical juncture in the party, and we are not here to throw out the older or the more experienced. We want to blend the two, the experience with a new vision. And that's what we're here about. We're not here to take over anything.
But if there is we would say a critical mass of you all getting into the positions that you're vying for, with that not, but I suppose that is part of what you're saying. It would be legitimate that you would have ideas and you'd have policy positions that you would want to advance to take the party probably in a different direction, or...
I don't even want to use it with a different direction. As I said, as we said, the party is good. We just want to make it better. So it's not about taking it a different direction. It's about bringing innovative ideas to make the current vision better, or the ideas that we have better. How can we do this, but in a better way, a more efficient way, a way that's more accessible to members? And it's 7 of us. I don't know, 7 of us for 16 positions. I don't know how we can have a takeover with that.
Well, that is where it will start. That is where it will start, and probably the next elections, based on how you all are deemed to have performed, and so maybe you get a larger critical mass in the membership and people who want to see the party operate differently, because this question about the party being estranged from the membership is something that a lot of people talk about. A lot of people are talking about more now than probably before. And that this group is seen in the eyes of some people as in ascendancy you know, a group of young people, young professionals. I've read stuff about the movement and so on to suggest that, so you'll, this is a train that is coming to go in a certain direction for the greater glory of the party and then ultimately for the country, right?
As I said, I don't want to say a different direction. Yeah. As I said, when you phrase it like that, that could engender fear. We don't want to encourage fear. We don't want to encourage divisiveness. This is one PNM. Yeah. If people find favor with us, vote us in, and then they find favor in the way we are running things and want to, you know, bring in other like-minded individuals, that is what the party would want. But I don't want to bring it like there's a train to take over. That is not what we're about. We're about one PNM. We, all of us in the 7 members, are products of PNM policy. We have grown up with the PNM. We have benefited from PNM policy. So we just want to give back what we have received from the PNM. Not take over, mash up, and throw down. That's not what we're bulldoze with the train. That's not what we're about.
But to rebuild and to fortify.
I don't even like the word rebuild. We're here to fortify, yes, okay. Fortify. Rebuild would give you an image of something that's broken. But the PNM is not broken. The PNM is still great, but we want to make it better.
And because you want to make it continue to prevail.
Prevail, exactly. That's what we want.
So John Bates, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, although you didn't give me an opportunity to say what I would do with my first 90 days.
Go ahead.
So what I would want to do in my first 90 days in office is to do a review of our document management system, to see how far we have been digitized, to see what naming conventions we have, to see how the information is stored, to see what policies are in place in case, if we are digitized, to prevent against hacking. And I would want to oversee a group of individuals who would draft a policy to address any issues any gaps that we identify. So I'm not just here to come in and, as I said, do the same old. We want to do things better.
Genuinely, best wishes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
We'll see what happens on the other side of the...
Thank you.
We're moving up to the top of the hour. We take a break. When we come back, we're talking about the organization called Is There Not a Cause? Another one of those things where we get to, and we have news in seconds from now. Stay with us. This is AM Prime here on WESN.
Here is your WESN News of the Hour. I am Marquise Akers. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. 2 bandits shot by police during a robbery. Karen Nunes-Teixeira and team files lawsuit seeking to postpone PNM internal elections. Minister Cox praises efforts of the Indian Women's Group. And internationally, Biden promises no new Cold War with China. Now for the details. 2 men were shot and wounded after they allegedly pointed guns at police during a robbery at a building in Barataria early this morning. Police reports indicates officers were on patrol at around 2:56 a.m. when they received a report of a robbery at 7th Avenue, Barataria. The officers went to the area and saw several men standing near a window. One of the alleged bandits jumped over the wall of the compound and ran away. The officers chased the men and called on them to stop again. One of the alleged bandits turned around and allegedly pointed a gun at the police. Police shot the man, but he continued running. He was arrested nearby. Another alleged bandit allegedly pointed a gun at a police and was also shot by the officers and fell. A lawsuit has been filed requesting the postponement of the PNM's internal election. It comes from leadership hopeful Karen Nunes-Teixeira, chairman candidate Kenneth Butcher, and elections officer candidate Victor Phillip. The PNM's internal is due to take place on December 4th, with voting to also take place on November 26th and 27th. The lawsuit claims the decision to change the poll from 1 day to 3 days with a 7-day intervening period is unconstitutional, null and void, and of no effect. Every NGO should take a more proactive role in creating programs and services that will empower persons to get out of poverty, heal the broken-hearted, deliver the captives, and give direction to those who have lost their way. This according to Social Development and Family Services Minister Donna Cox. Minister Cox was at the time addressing attendees at an annual fundraising dinner hosted by the Trinidad and Tobago Indian Women's Group over the weekend at the Passage to Asia's Chandelier Hall, Chaguanas. Lauding the Indian Women's Group of Trinidad and Tobago, which was founded in May 1989, was a veritable champion of the underprivileged. The minister endorsed the organization's mission, which was born out of the simple desire to ensure that no one is left behind, aligning well with the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services mandate. In international news, U.S. President Joe Biden has promised there will be no new Cold War with China following a conciliatory meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. He also said he did not believe China would invade Taiwan. It was the first in-person meeting between the two superpower leaders since Mr. Biden took office. The pair also discussed North Korea and Russia's invasion of Ukraine at the talks in Bali, a day before the G20 summit on the Indonesian island. In the 3-hour meeting held at a luxury hotel shortly after Mr. Xi's arrival, the leaders discussed a wide range of topics, including Taiwan. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I am Marquise Akers. Thanks for watching.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Welcome back to the program. Our guest with us now is Mrs. Avenel Hector Joseph, and she's the founder, of course, of the organization called Is There Not a Cause? And this is a Christmas cause that she's promoting and presenting for participation and support by people in the country. If you're watching this, well, then you should be one of them. Avenel, good to see you.
to see you too, Andy. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
All right, thank you very much. So let's talk about what is it? Your presence is requested. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. The place, the Central Bank Auditorium. Let's take it from there.
Okay, good morning to all the viewers. And I just want to say something. Because I put up a post saying it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas yesterday, and somebody reposted it. And I felt their angst because as a citizen, I do feel like he said that people are not facing reality. We don't know what is happening. Where is it beginning to look a lot like Christmas? And I must agree with his position because we are not doing this in some airy-fairy vacuum that, you know, it's like everything is all clear and wow, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Like people are putting up lights and everything is fine. It is because everything is not fine why we are doing what we do, why we have done this for the last 20 years out there, partnering with individuals to make a difference one life at a time. So for those who are able to purchase a ticket, they will help us to facilitate persons who need to have that concept of Christmas, because a lot of our citizens, as you will know, whether it's December, January, March, June, or any month in between, it's a hard time for us. So we are having this event at the Central Bank Auditorium tomorrow, Wednesday the 16th and the 23rd, to raise funds for two very critical charities. And I think our society as a whole, we've been through many unfortunate situations where we see our women, and yes, domestic violence affects both male and female. The fact and the reality is that mostly women and the children are affected. Yes, there's some very devious and dubious women with it, but generally those who have been murdered for the most part in our society. And people would make comments like, but why she didn't leave? And I asked them, have you ever sat down and considered what leaving entails for a woman? All the logistics, all the things that she has to say to go into a safe house, she can't come out to go to work, school for the children, all of those abnormalities. So we have two projects that we're working on. We already have 3 houses that we house persons, whether they lost their jobs, they've been flooded, fired, COVID, whatever it is. But those are not safe houses per se, Andy. So we are working on a 5th house. But this one will be specifically for women and children who are fleeing domestic violence. It's called Bethesda, the House of Mercy. That and the City Outreach Center, where we have a piece of land in the city where we will be having an outreach center. People can come, you can get a shower, you can get a meal. We already have a mobile food kitchen. You can get counseling, you can get a haircut and all of those stuff. So we are running these shows for the next 2 weekends, and we are engaging the public to attend these shows.
Well, why she didn't leave? One of the last cases we've had of the upending of a relationship in the way that it did was this lady who was a teacher and the lawyer who left.
Yes. Yes. So we have to not put the blame on the victims as we tend to do and gaslight people. But as a society, first we need to start with our moms and how we train our boys and be very intentional. So we have a 6-year-old son, and every time he goes out, his father tells him, remember, daddy's not there, you've got to protect mommy and daddy. And when he's out with me, if I do anything, he said, mommy, don't do that, I have to protect you. So we've got to do our part as a society first to train our men instead of spending energy telling our women what kind of men to choose. We need to choose our boys to be better men. And then, of course, in the meantime, while that process is taking place, we have a situation. We've got to give women the tools and the strength and the assistance to run away when they found themselves in less than ideal situations.
All right, so this event is over two days. So one is on the 16th, and the other is
on next Wednesday, the 23rd. And we really would we just need 400 people, 400 persons to buy a ticket for $275 to support this worthy cause. We've got a really nice, generous contractor who's charging us bare minimum, Andy, and if we have a check for $3,000, he takes it and he buys what materials he can get with that. And so, he's really pushing to finish it. We want to engage him for the length of the project. We don't want him to stop to have to start something else and then we have to go and get him to get other workers. He's keeping his workers on the job. Sometimes we might not have work for them that day, and he will pay those workers on that day. So it's a big up Awesome Construction. That's the name of the construction company. So your $275, for example, the money that if we were to make the profits we need, it will help us to do a decking so that we can start some more work at the back and then, you know, come to the front so we don't block it off. So it's at the Central Bank. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Come up, dress up a little bit. It's not a formal event. We have mocktails. There's going to be, I think, some sampling by Carib on 20 days. But generally, the drinks are non-alcoholic. Your $275 include, and we have Juice Bar 21. They do some amazing drinks for us. They're going to serve it up. Your finger foods, your chill for an hour, some live music, some music playing. And then at 8:05, we go into the auditorium, well, just before 8:05, and start with a very, very beautiful show where we're going to have some jazz and pan, the Christmas offerings, the flute, a flautist by a guy named Jahai. I hope Jahai is really good, and lots of great vocals. So it's a nice evening. A lot of us, you know, we just need to just come out, take some time out. So bring a friend. Tickets are in St. James at Flow Essence there, at Flow Essence in St. James, in a Rima Living Legacy Pharmacy, and also New Creation. If you work in Port of Spain, you can walk down to the New Creation in the parking, and today we are going out distributing hampers, other hampers. I say hampers because we're doing flood relief, but we will be dropping off your tickets. So if you don't want to come out to your house today or your office, call us on 394-2042, and you know, we will be willing to get your tickets to have you there tomorrow at the event. And if you can't make tomorrow, there will be next week. But we, you know, we really want to ask persons to support. And if somebody say, well, you know, that's not my flick, we have a bank account with Republic Bank and First Citizens Bank in the name of ICNTT cause. You can make that donation with a note saying, this is for the Safe House or this is for the City Outreach Center.
What is a mocktail?
A mocktail is a cocktail without alcohol.
Yeah.
So the same concept with your fancy straw, the different drinks, the spritzers, whatever else it is, you know, garnish, mint please, or whatever. Mojito. I think a mojito is a mojito without alcohol.
Yeah.
A virgin colada is a pina colada without alcohol. So no, they're going to be bringing up some nice drinks. They really, Juice Bar 21, really do classy stuff. So you can have, you know, a nice little classy time before the show. You can just chill with your friends, and then come, what time I say, 8:05, the show begins, and it's going to be a really lovely show with some of the great performance. We're going to have, you know, music while you have your mocktails, and then we go into the show at the Central Bank, the 16th and the 22nd.
And the issue is that there are not enough spaces, safe spaces for women in these.
They are not. They are not. And we do not. Our facilities can only facilitate women who are in the low end of the spectrum. You've seen the red flags, and so you've decided to say, you know what, I busted out of here. But when it gets really intense, where they need to be hidden and all of that, you know, like for example during COVID, there were high incidences of domestic violence, and unfortunately, a lot of the shelters, some were closed and some were not taking in entry. It was really stressful for us because you know what's happening, you know the possibilities, you know the probabilities. They send you the voice notes, the texts, the messages, whatever, where the threats have been given. And a woman calls and she says, or somebody from 800 Save, or whoever would call, and you know, we have to say, well, we don't have no room. And it's hard to go to sleep. You know, you pray, you trust God. Because you know some of these people, as we've seen, they are going to make good on their threats. And when we will not be able to house everybody, but if we can open this place as soon as possible and create that safe haven, and to save some women and to save some mothers for crying over their daughters and fathers crying over their daughters, and to remove some children, it will be worth a while. And all we are asking of you in this process, is to come on out, purchase a ticket, and support us, and you know, give some cheer. It will be cheer. It will be Christmas. Getting out of an abusive system could become like Christmas for somebody any day of the year. So 394-2042. Link with us. Is it at a cause? You know, and there's a lot of things we're doing right now. The migrant school program, flood relief, penal, go to fight about it. Lots of things we're doing. But these two projects are very, very dear to our heart. And as you know, we're not government funded as yet, so we depend on the good public to support and help us to do what we have to do.
Tell me something, do you run into people who, you're doing this kind of advocacy, do you run into people, because there's an associate of mine, I mean, he sends tons of stuff every day. He's one of those people who say that there are more men who are in this situation than are recognized, and some people don't even consider that there are men who are battered men and who need the same kind of support that battered and ill-treated women get. You run into people who take that position at all?
No, I don't say when people take that position too much, but it is a fact, because we live in a very broken world, we live in a very broken society. There is a fact that we have a lot of men who are battered. And these are the things that those who are entrusted to govern need to look at our society and construct and list some things that need to be. So, for example, we need to, if we have a gender-based unit, we need to look at how a man is treated when he walks into a police station and he said he was raped. How a man will be treated when he walks into a police station, he said that his wife, his girlfriend, significant other hit him. And that we don't, again, so that it's the same concept. We don't victim shame and victim blame and laugh at the person. And, the person is already dealing with whatever they're dealing with. We don't add to it. And therefore, we let the thing be perpetuated because we do not provide safe spaces for men to come out and to say, listen, the woman just slapped me now. You have men will bust your tail back, but there's some guys, depending on how how they've been brought up, never hit a woman. I'm saying a man should hit a woman, but I mean, if you go and hit a man, I mean, really, what the guy's supposed to just stand up there? But there's some people who will stand up and take it, and they become the victims. So yes, this is something that we have to address. It's not as blatant, it's not as evil. We don't get the same statistics, but I know persons who've told me that, a woman killed their brother or their uncle or somebody, and there are people who were stabbed and, bust head and cuts and different things. So it happens. We can't deny it as a society. However, when we are talking about the high incidences and what happens with females, and people come to, it's like, if you can't discuss one without the other. So let's not discuss about the women because there are men also. No. We have a kind of whataboutism, either or. We're discussing different things. So us reaching out to women who are victims of domestic violence is not an attempt to say that men are not victims of domestic violence. And we need to change that. So it is like in politics. If you say that the PLM did something bad, somebody's going to tell, no, I'm right now I'm speaking about X, or right now I'm speaking about Y, right? And it's not an either or situation. So yes, we need more programs to help men, to support groups, maybe the same concept of the phone numbers, but numbers geared specifically to men, because the construct of his mind and his pride and his ego, if you want to say, would be a whole different ball game. He's not going to tell the boys, boy, she will beat him up, whereas a woman would reach out. So these are the reality of what exists. So yes, there is violence, women against men in our society, and prevalent to some extent, right? And it must be addressed. I am not saying that it's because it's not as glaring or blatant as what we see and the end results that we've seen increasingly over the last couple of years, that it should not be an issue. It is not. It is an issue. And we don't have housing, but I mean, we can probably put the men into one of our general housing arrangements if he needs to come away for a time or cool out or whatever. But this particular project is beginning to look a lot like Christmas for the housing aspect.
Yeah. It
is the house woman, and that's why we're acting. And so our programs, and we will help men. We help because we are called. Is there not a cause? It's not. Is there shoes or is there a house? We general. Somebody presents a need. It might be the first time we are encountering that need. We don't just say we can't do it. We try to listen. We serve an infinite God, but sometimes our resources are finite. And look at what we have or who we can network with to help us to reach out to persons.
All right, so again, so we close out with this on the 16th and the 23rd. These occasions are to support that cause, Bethesda, the House of Mercy, and City Outstanding.
And the City Outreach Center, yes.
Yeah.
I am particularly excited about city outreach center because I need more and more of our citizens are becoming homeless, and if they stay on the street longer, their mental illnesses and other things will come in. A lot of programs that the government have that the citizens don't know about. So we will have internet. You could come in, you could search in there. We can help you know what to look for. We have copies of the grants, or we will, where to access the website, print it so people can go. People can get help, and if they end up on the street, they don't spend 10 and 15 days there and become what we call vagrants.
All right. So let's see how these events turn out. But thank you very much, Avenel Hector.
Okay. 394-2042. Let the people call. 394-2042.
All right. Thank you very much. We will take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
People get confused, they go into the grocery and they're like, you know what, I want to change my life. I want to eat better.
As exciting as the front of a label looks, the back of the label is really where it's at. If something has less than 5% in that particular serving of that nutrient, then it's probably a low source. If it has 20 or more, then it's a high source.
Smoothies, I'm not really into that because the texture, or I don't like what people put in theirs, but the good thing about a smoothie is that you can make it your own. You can literally put whatever you want. If you really like bananas, you can put bananas. If you really don't like bananas, don't put bananas. Like, it's really that simple.
What's up, Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN Content Capital.
All right, welcome back. Well, let's just take you a little bit around the region. We're going to Barbados, and at this point, a major change will be coming, they say, to centuries-old legislation on water use and land lease projects. We have a report on that from Barbados' CBC.
The disclosure comes on the heels of complaints by farmers that their crops were either being flooded or water-starved, making them unable to fulfill Christmas demand. Minister of Agriculture Idna Ware told CBC News one way to address the issue is to repeal the Three Houses Spring Act.
The only way to control it is for us to repeal the act. So we have done so. I'm working with Sir David Simmons, one of Barbados' most eminent attorneys, to make sure that we have the right legislation, because it must be a suitable fit for a 21st century construct. And therefore, it is unfortunate that the farmers would convey the impression that nothing is being done to assist them.
The minister explains they are working on the project, but they are faced with behaviors from some farmers which need to be stopped.
Let us all understand that whilst the ministry is doing its best, the farmers have a responsibility to themselves too. And blocking water and those kind of things is reckless, irresponsible, and I would like for them to step forward and say what it is they're doing for themselves.
The minister says once all the dam issues are dealt with, farmers at River will soon be operating under a metered system. He says the government has spent a tidy sum to alleviate the woes on the St. Philip farmlands, but notes they cannot control the weather patterns.
River, by dint of its name, is an area that is prone to flood, and we've been getting a lot of rain. So the one thing that the farmers at River will be getting right now is water. Our hardcore reality is that we've spent well over $3 million to put a dam at River for us to be able to provide water to the farmers over there. The preparation work is still taking place. We have to set up the irrigation systems to make sure we can do a metered system for all the farmers at River.
The minister assured the farmers that his ministry is working to address the issues, but to exercise some patience, as all the work cannot be done at once.
All right, and just to tell you what's on the front pages of these papers, the Newsday Trinidad and Tobago, the story is about a man who was murdered ostensibly because he saw a police officer being killed some time before, and he was killed in Mova last story on the front page of the Newsday Trinidad and Tobago. Another headline there, a man freed of murder because a witness fails to testify. And the Newsday Tobago, crime, again, continues to dominate the situation. The crime crisis on our hands, they're saying that in Tobago. And before we go, we want to ask you to watch this. A call has been made for private farmers to get involved in the cotton industry in Barbados. It comes from the Chief Executive Officer of an organization called Exclusive Cottons of the Caribbean Incorporated, Adlai Stevenson, during a tour of the factory at a place called Groves in the parish of St. George. Take a look at this.
The top cotton official said more acreage is needed. To date, about 300 acres are in cotton production, but the industry needs upwards of 1,000 acres along with additional manpower for harvesting the product if it is to reach its true potential.
We need additional cotton being produced. We're producing far too little. We need minimum 300 acres, but we could do with 1,000 acres, even 5,000 acres of cotton being planted. And from that, then we need additional harvesters to turn out to come and pick the cotton, so that the farmers feel that their investment in the cotton is making sense.
Cotton is a good foreign exchange earner for Barbados, and the CEO said Ministry of Agriculture officials and private enterprise have been meeting on the matter.
So this is an appeal for individuals who may be unemployed or underemployed to come out and help us pick the cotton between January and April. And we are finishing off some fields in cotton. We would want additional workers to come out and help us pick the cotton and to get the output up and to export and earn Barbados valuable foreign exchange as a result.
Cotton is a safe enterprise, and the aim is to move from where we are now to about 500 acres in cotton production.
Planting is mid-August and harvesting starts in January. So from the start of the harvest in January, it goes through to April. May 1st is the beginning of the cotton close season, where there should be no cotton in the ground until the next August, until the coming August, where the cotton is planted again. So each year, seeds of cotton are put into the ground, and then the process starts again.
From the meetings with the public and private sector stakeholders, cotton officials are hoping for more lands to be put into production, but additional acreage would call for additional harvesters.
And that will do it for this edition of the program. We thank you for watching. We tell you, as always, you can keep in touch with us here at AM Prime at WESNCC and all our social media platforms. We thank our guests for being here as well. You can send your emails to amprime@wesncc.com. We tell you that in about half an hour, we have news at the top of the hour, followed by today's edition of Talking Point, which is small. But for now, thanks for watching. I'm Andy Johnson. We see you tomorrow.